I was stuck in a marriage with my egocentric, egotistical husband and our antithetical son for 18 years. Then I stood by my husband, supporting him as his wife for 10 other years. But one day of the week is correct. You know I'm going to divorce you. What? Divorce? Why all of a sudden? I know you've been cheating. I am not going to demand equitable division of assets, but I will keep $300,000 in savings in the house. No, I don't understand. Despite never having cheated, I was suddenly being pushed towards divorce. It didn't make sense. As the conversation about divorce began, I desperately tried to stop it. But upon further thought, there was no evidence, just baseless accusations. He had also never helped with raising our child and had been repeating abusive behaviors. Maybe it was time for a divorce. Okay, I understand. I'll leave then. You might as well become homeless, he smirked as he kicked me out. But I left with a refreshed look on my face. Then I visited a certain person a month later. After that, nobody expected that my husband would call me almost crying. I lived in a single family home in LA with my husband. I used to be a full-time employee at a small to medium-sized company in LA, but I quit when we got married. Afterward, household chores, including preparing meals, became my top priority. As I got used to this life, I started working part-time at a local supermarket. After we bought our house and started paying it off, my part-time income allowed us to live a comfortable life, just the two of us. A year after we got married, I discovered I was pregnant. We had been trying to have a child, and given our financial situation, raising one child would be our limit. This pregnancy was a joyous occasion. My husband burst into joy as if he were a child receiving a birthday present. From that day on, I was filled with dreams of a happy life with our future child, even making it hard to focus on household chores. Tomorrow, I'm bringing a junior colleague over for drinks at home. Please prepare the alcohol. Hot drinking here, not going out. It's been a while, and we decided to talk about work while drinking at home. It wouldn't be right to impose on my junior's home, and I want to show off our new house. But I have severe morning sickness. Just this much. I have to maintain my position as a senior. My husband was happy about my pregnancy and talked only about the baby after returning from work. If it's a boy, I'll go to the park to play catch with him, buy him a remote control toy for his birthday, and play together in the park. And when he's bigger, I'd like to go motorcycling with him. Every day, he was full of talk about our future child, but his consideration for me was minimal. If he was so excited about the child, he could be a bit more considerate of me as a pregnant woman. To ensure that my beloved child is born healthy, I need to maintain a proper lifestyle during pregnancy. He has many female friends, some of whom are pregnant. He must have heard various things from them. Now that I was in the toughest phase of morning sickness, he should have considered having colleagues over for drinks at home would be a burden on me. Of course, I understand his position at the company, but still, I guess I had accepted that at the time. Hey, we're out of alcohol. Oh, it's getting late, and it's not right for your wife. We should be leaving soon. We're off tomorrow, so we'll drink until morning. Come on, everyone has plans tomorrow. Maybe it's time for them all to leave. Shut up. Just do as your husband says. Since we're running low on alcohol, go get some more. Not again. I had seen that at our wedding after party. When he drinks, he becomes a domineering husband. When we were dating, I didn't drink much, so we hardly went out for drinks. At that time, I thought he was a considerate man. But it turns out he changes when he drinks. After we got married, he completely looked down on me and bossed me around, which was shocking. But as long as we controlled the amount of alcohol, it should be fine. Usually, he acts without thinking ahead, but he was kind to me, so I didn't think it was much of a problem. But I never expected the domineering husband to emerge during this tough phase of morning sickness. It was completely unexpected, but now that it had come to this, there was no stopping it. What a troublesome situation. I'm suffering from morning sickness, and it's usually my bedtime, so I just want to go to sleep quickly. I haven't even taken a bath yet, and with people around, I can't relax. I felt sorry for the juniors who looked ready to leave, but since my senior husband wouldn't let them, they couldn't just leave on their own. As I reluctantly got up to get the alcohol as my husband had instructed, one considerate junior offered to go instead. "I'll go so you can rest." Huh, but I can't let a guest do that. My wife gave birth last year, so I understand what pregnant women go through. Sorry for keeping you up so late. Since my husband had talked about my pregnancy at his company, the junior was considerate of me as a pregnant woman. It surprised me that a younger person could be so considerate while my husband was drunk to this extent. I was embarrassed by my own husband, but I decided to accept the junior's kind offer. After about 10 minutes, the junior returned with more alcohol, smiled at me, and headed straight to the living room. About an hour later, he kept giving my husband strong drinks, and soon he fell asleep in the living room. Taking advantage of this, I apologized to the juniors for keeping them up late and asked them to leave. Then I went to bed by myself. Perhaps because of the morning sickness and staying up late, I was struck by a severe headache the following day. However, my husband, completely hungover, woke up around noon and was noisy about wanting soup made for him because he had a headache. The morning sickness hadn't subsided yet, and I really wasn't in a state to be looking after a hungover husband. But I didn't want to complain about his bad mood while hungover, so I forced my weary body to make some simple soup and quickly finished up the housework. "Here's the soup. Eat it before it cools. Yeah, and draw a bath for me too. I feel gross." Since I didn't bathe yesterday, okay. If those days had continued daily, I might have reached my limit. But my husband became busier with work, so my burden didn't increase. Especially after that, while I still did the housework and cooking as before, the memory of that drinking session was vividly etched in my brain. So life until birth wasn't that tough. Then I gave birth to a healthy baby boy. He weighed 8.5 pounds, a big boy. He looked a lot like my husband around the eyes, and his large body resembled my tall husband. I wondered if he might grow up to be a man who thinks only of himself. But I was so happy that I cried when my husband first held our son. He was so moved that he was at a loss for words, and seeing him like that made me smile broadly. At that time, I had forgotten all about his bad traits, and all I could think about was the happy life that the three of us would start together. "Hey, can you start sleeping downstairs from today? The baby's crying at night is loud, and it wakes me up." "Huh? Sleep on the first floor? But that room is used as a storage room." "But seriously, it's so noisy." "It's fine if you can calm the crying, but sometimes it lasts over an hour. It's annoying." The happy life with the three of us lasted only a week after we left the hospital. The baby's crying at night is indeed loud, but that's part of raising a child. I wouldn't let it be said that he doesn't know the first thing about raising a child. Despite nearly a year of pregnancy, it's natural for babies to cry, and it's a sign they're growing properly. There are many, many difficult things, but I had intended to raise our child together as a couple. Yet the responsibility of childcare was all pushed onto me. While saying all might be an exaggeration, to be precise, all the difficult parts of parenting were pushed onto me. My husband would eagerly do the fun things like feeding milk or playing when the baby was in a good mood. If you look only at that, you might think, what a good husband. But it's just like a selfish child who plays house and leaves all the messy chores to the parents. I was sleep deprived every night from the baby crying and had no rest because I also had to do the housework. Gradually, my dissatisfaction with my husband built up. Hey, I think it's wrong to push all the hard stuff onto me. You need to take care of the baby on weekends at least, or my physical strength won't last. What childcare? It's your job as the mother. You do it. I'm earning money by going to work instead. Try to put yourself in my shoes, being woken up by the baby crying every night. It's not just physically draining. I'm at my mental limit. There are single mothers out there raising kids. Isn't that just your weakness? Just because there are single mothers out there doesn't mean I am the same. Should I say the same thing back? There are many men in the world who come home from work and do all the housework, look after the children on weekends, or employ a housekeeper so they can focus solely on parenting. What would you think if I said that? Not only does my husband act without thinking ahead, but he also seems incapable of considering other people's feelings. He might be tired from work, but he has weak hands-off. He comes home on time and can relax at night. But I am chased by housework and childcare from morning, and I can hardly sleep at night. Seeing my husband resting comfortably while I am going through such a hard time made me increasingly irritable. But being a mother means that maternal instincts naturally develop to match the situation. After realizing that my husband was not cooperative in parenting, I gradually became mentally stronger and decided not to rely on him for childcare. Time flew by, and by the time our son was ready to start elementary school, I was gradually able to step back a bit and return to work while managing the household, bringing some change to our life. Mom, are you okay? Are you feeling sick? I'm fine, just a bit sleep-deprived recently. It's because Dad brings his coworkers home, right? And he doesn't help around the house. It's okay, Dad has his work obligations, so it can't be helped, but he doesn't think about you at all. So I don't really like him much. As my son reached school age and began to understand various things, he became a mental ally for me, and the relationship between my husband and me continued to cool. My husband continued his selfish behavior, which probably didn't look good in our son's eyes. While I was pregnant, there were times when my husband talked about doing this or that with our son, but now he barely interferes with our son, and we are living a life completely opposite to the happy family life of 3 I had once dreamed of. Then my son grew up smoothly and started living alone for university. After nearly 20 years, my husband and I resumed living as just the 2 of us. It felt strange because I had talked so little with my husband since the time we lived with our son. Hey, I've been invited to an inn owned by an acquaintance. Do you want to go together next time? That sounds like a hassle. I'm not going. But they've prepared a room for 2. I don't have fun with you around. When did he even lose interest in me? Of course, our marital life had become less intimate over the years, and my husband had completely disengaged from parenting, leading to a lack of connection between us. I thought that with the 2 of us living together again, we could slowly mend our relationship, but it seems he has no interest at all. Maybe it's pointless for me to try so hard. Yet after nearly 20 years of marriage, the thought of divorcing now seemed absurd, so I just let our life drag on. This stagnant lifestyle continued for about 8 years until one holiday when my husband was off work. Even though we were both home, it didn't mean we did anything together or went out. Usually, he would go golfing with colleagues on his days off, but that day he didn't go anywhere. We sat in silence, each of us on our phones, when suddenly, I'm giving you 1 month to move out of this house. What? You can't just spring this on me. What do you mean? You think I haven't noticed? You've been gallivanting around with another man, haven't you? What is he talking about, going around with another man? I have no such recollection. I've been working diligently, taking over the household and meals in place of my idle husband. It's outrageous to be accused of fooling around. I haven't done anything to be suspected of. What's this all about? Suddenly, my husband. I saw you having lunch with a man the other day. It's nothing but cheating, isn't it? That was just lunch with my boss. He's discussing possibly making me the manager for the next project. Don't give me that excuse. I want a divorce. I won't ask for a property division, but I'm taking the $300,000 in savings in the house. You might as well become homeless. Saying that, he left the divorce papers on the table and went to the bedroom. The papers already had his signature on them, and he had even placed our wedding ring on them, as if to weigh down the decision. Oh, he's serious, accusing someone of infidelity without any proof. I supported my husband through our marriage, handled parenting alone, and continued to support him even after our son left home. If this is the outcome, I'm ready to accept it with anger and a sense of helplessness. I packed my things, took the divorce papers, and went to the law office to submit them. Afterwards, I contacted my son to head to his place. I'm sorry to bother you like this. That dad, he's really messing around. Kick Mom out. Maybe he just wanted a divorce all along. But I won't stay silent about this, and there's something I'm curious about. My ex-husband had barely participated in our son's upbringing, and in this situation, my son was firmly on my side. That alone made me happy, but my son didn't seem intent on staying quiet. It's inconceivable that the divorce would end without splitting the house and savings. I wanted to regain some peace, planning to forget about my ex-husband for a while. But 1 week after I started living at my son's place, he revealed a shocking truth to me. It was about a secret my ex-husband had kept. I never imagined he would hide something like this. In that moment, I felt an anger unlike anything I'd experienced in my life. Resolved to make my ex-husband pay, a month later. Hello, finally it's connected. What do you want, Dad, after all this time not calling? Now what? Where's Mom? She's with you, right? So what if she is? You're with a young woman, so it shouldn't matter, right? My ex-husband had tried contacting me multiple times, but I completely ignored him. Then he started calling my son. My son ignored him for a while too, but after incessant calls, he snapped and answered, I know everything. That you were cheating, and you kicked Mom out because of it. What are you talking about? I didn't. I suspected something fishy even before you divorced Mom. I saw you walking hand in hand with a young woman after work. I didn't have proof then, but I've looked into it now, and a lot has come to light. What? You seem to have spent quite a bit on keeping that young woman around. Do you even have any savings left? You didn't dip into them, did you? After my son's words, my ex-husband fell silent again. Since the day I moved in with my son, he had been quietly investigating my ex-husband. Apparently, my son had spotted my ex-husband walking with a woman in a busy district about 6 months ago and had been suspicious since then. At the time, my son knew our relationship was cooling and thought it might just be an outing after a night at a bar. But given recent events, he thoroughly investigated, and my ex-husband's infidelity came to light. Apparently, he had been cheating for over 5 years. Or should I say engaging in a sugar daddy arrangement? It's disgusting spending money for fake love. Well, it's rude to comment on someone's hobbies. I can't imagine his salary alone would cover such expenses. According to my son's investigation, my ex-husband had given quite expensive gifts, spending a significant amount. Whose money was that, I wonder? Naturally, it casts suspicion on the money, I had contributed to our joint savings. So what's it going to be? Have you touched the savings? Of course not. Then from the $300,000 in savings, you'll pay out $200,000 for alimony. We'll divide the property, sell the house, and send half the amount. No, that can't be. If you can't do that, we'll take it to court. I have a friend who's a lawyer and will fight this thoroughly. His reaction confirms he must have been misusing our money. How audacious to kick me out after doing whatever he pleased. But it's not just me who feels that way. My son shares my sentiment. If you don't want this to get to court, I expect you to handle this sincerely. Mom probably doesn't care what happens to you anymore. But I can't just pay $200,000. Don't make me state the obvious. Property division is standard, and you're the one who brought up divorce, right? Yes, but to think that I cooked and cleaned for such a person, and even made his favorite meals, it really is pitiful. What was the point of those 28 years? But at least I have the savings I accumulated, and he will struggle because of how much he misused. I decided to give him a piece of my mind one last time and borrowed my son's phone. You were the one who misused the funds, so take responsibility. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean for things to turn out like this. I don't need your excuses, but you have your job and all that's irrelevant. Both you and that woman will suffer until you die, and I'll make sure you regret this. With that, I hung up. Afterward, he tried to contact me multiple times, but I blocked all calls and messages. I kept the email just in case we needed to communicate for any official matters. But it was a relief not to receive any more calls. Thanks for everything, and I'm sorry for the trouble. I've disliked Dad for a long time. I won't let him play around with you anymore. Thank you. I'll make sure he takes responsibility for the money, and he will see hell. My son has truly grown into a dependable person. My ex-husband had no redeeming qualities, neither as a husband nor as a father. Following this, my son and his lawyer friend helped me claim alimony, and we arranged for it to be paid in installments. I was present during the negotiations, and my son's friend spoke in a commanding tone throughout, which kept my ex-husband on edge, ensuring he wouldn't escape payment. If he tried to avoid paying, he knew he'd face stringent legal actions, and a lawsuit would only increase his expenses. I don't know the details, but in the end, his affair partner disappeared. It was indeed just about money. It's ridiculous that young women would be attracted to an older, unattractive man with a bad personality. Clearly, it was nothing but the money to think he wasted precious money and time on such things. My ex-husband was really foolish, getting deeply involved in such nonsense and ruining his life. While showing such a bad example of fatherhood might have been a good lesson for my son in the end. As for me, I continue to live with my son for now, saving all the money transferred by my ex-husband. My son has been talking about marrying his girlfriend in the future, so I can't keep imposing on him forever. I need to manage my retirement life on my own. But in the end, cutting ties with my ex-husband was truly a blessing. It also allowed me to reaffirm the bond with my son and to remove unnecessary elements from my life. At last, I hope to spend the rest of my life slowly and meaningfully with the people who are really precious to me.